welcome back to another video. What a night of boxing that was. Saturday into Sunday morning, just unbelievable mouth-watering fights all the way through. Both delivered. We're talking about Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin, and we're talking about Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic. Now, let's start with the Whyte card. The undercard was absolutely brilliant. So many good fights. I won't talk about it for too long because people probably aren't that interested in this fight. But Ted Cheeseman versus JJ Metcalf was a phenomenal fight. Two just absolute monsters, animals, battling it out, throwing hell for leather, throwing what they want, not caring what comes back at them, and it was just beautiful. Too many wanted it so badly. Ted Cheeseman knocks out JJ Metcalf, and that man, he's going to go on. He has got such a bright future ahead of him. He was brilliant, and he's only 25. He isn't old at all. He's got so much further to go. I'd love to see him fight Anthony Fowler. I think that's a really good British fight that can be made. Other than that, I don't think he's got much else to prove. Maybe a Scott Fitzgerald rematch. Maybe. But British-wise, I think Anthony Fowler's the one to make. If not, get him on that European level because he really does deserve it. Then, the much-awaited debut of Campbell Hatton. Now, for me, I was so excited for this because Ricky Hatton is, without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite boxer of all time. I absolutely love him. I still absolutely love him. And I love his son. Listen, I've seen so many people on Twitter giving this kid stick, saying he was shit. Let's just put into perspective. He's 20 years old. He's 20 years old, making his professional debut on Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin 2. He's making his debut on the biggest fight of Whyte's night. The pressure's going to get to him. Now, there was time in the fights where, yes, he showed a bit of naivety when it came to defence. Come on, it's expected. People were expecting this, They were expecting to watch Campbell Hatton and go, oh my God, he's like Ricky Hatton. He looks like Ricky Hatton. We were never, ever going to get that. This kid's got such a bright future. He showed that there's glimpses there. His body shots were brilliant. Granted, he threw a bit too many. But, the lights, the atmosphere, because there were a few fans there. The pressure, the adrenaline dump you get when you start. It's not a shock. So fair play to Campbell Hatton. He got the win. People also slating as well on Twitter, saying that his opponent was shit. I'm sorry. No, not a single professional fighter gets a tough fight to begin with. Not a single one of them. Very rarely, if they do. Very rarely. This kid hasn't had many amateur fights. It's his pro debut. Let's cut him a bit of slack. He deserves it. He won. And he's got a bright future ahead of him. Going into Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin, I was shaking like a shitting dog for this fight. I love Whyte. I absolutely love Whyte. And, I think he wanted to prove to people in this fight that, he can become world champion. He is good enough to become world champion. I don't doubt that for a second. I see enough in Whyte to say, yeah, he can be world champion. But for some reason, some people still question it. Who else does this man need to beat? Come on. Derek Chisora, Oscar Rivas, Lucas Brown, Joseph Parker. Did I say Derek Chisora? Alexander Povetkin. He has fought the best of the best. He doesn't duck away from fights. And name me one Whyte fight that hasn't delivered, that hasn't had drama, that hasn't done good pay-per-view buys. There isn't one. He is in good fights all the time. And he carries the power to make any fight entertaining. And in this fight, he definitely carried the power. It was an interesting fight. He looked up for it from the ring walk. Povetkin really did not look up for it. Now, listen, at heavyweight, you can go on a lot longer. A lot longer, because it's your power doesn't go. Your reflexes slow down, your speed slows down, your timing drops. Power doesn't. And Povetkin has power in abundance. He has so much power, he can switch anyone's lights off like that. Anyone's. And he did. He did that to Dillian Whyte in the first fight. And it wasn't a lucky punch. It was a mistake from Dillian Whyte. Povetkin caught him. It was a brilliant uppercut. You can't say it was unlucky. And he lost the fight. In this fight, Dillian Whyte was never going to let that happen. He was absolutely brilliant. He was using his jab to perfection. I say that. In the first round, he was wild. You could see a part of him just wanted to shut everyone up, and he wanted to clean him out. And he was using his jab really well, but then it got to a point where it was like, right, you're using it a bit too much. It was coming, he was just popping it out a lot, and it was coming really easy for Povetkin to read. And then after the second round, he realised, just take your time, and that's what he did perfectly. He put his combinations together just unbelievably. There was one point where he slipped and my heart stopped. I thought, oh my God, has he been caught? Luckily he hadn't. It was just a slip. Listen, there's not much you can say about Dillian Whyte anymore, because he has proved more than enough. Eddie Hearn said on Sky that he wants him to have a fight in the summer in America. I like that, and I also don't like that. And then he wants to have him a fight in the winter. Now, Dillian Whyte doesn't need to fight. He has nothing else left to prove. He doesn't need, unless he's for a world title, Dillian Whyte does not need to fight. Is that to say I don't want him to? A part of me does, a part of me doesn't, because obviously the two names being lined up, Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder. Now, for me, Dillian Whyte beats both of them. Andy Ruiz is a good boxer. He's quick. There's no doubt in that. You're not a good boxer. You're not a shit boxer if you beat Anthony Joshua. He is a good boxer. But I think Dillian Whyte beats anyone. I really do. I think it's about time some respect actually gets put on his name. And Dillian Whyte destroys Deontay Wilder. Come on. Dillian Whyte is as strong as an ox, has got a punch like not many people. Dillian Whyte can knock anyone out like that, just like Deontay Wilder can. The difference is, Dillian Whyte's got the skills to go along with it. Deontay Wilder doesn't, by any stretch of the imagination. I think Ben Askren had beat Deontay Wilder. That was a joke. He definitely wouldn't. We'll speak about that in another video. I don't want to be going into YouTube boxing drama, all that shit today. I just want to speak about the proper fighting. Yeah, listen, if it happens, it happens. I don't think it needs to happen. I'm assuming the winter fight that Eddie Hearn was on about is the winner of AJ Fury, maybe. It should be. This man has jumped over every hurdle that every governing body has ever thrown at him, and he's come back shining. And I'm so happy to see it, because, let's not leave any stones unturned here. If Dillian Whyte lost that fight, his career's done. His career's done. You can't come back from that. So, it's fantastic to see, and I'm so happy that he got that win. After Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin, we were just waiting. Fight fans were just waiting for UFC to begin, and it began. Now, listen, Sugar Sean O'Malley is going to be world champion one day. That phenomenal. The ref fucked up in that fight. He's such a good fighter, just charisma for days. He looks the part. He looks different to anyone in the UFC by a country mile. And I think we saw a really good performance from him, and it's what we expect. Uh, Tyrone Woodley is so sad, man. It is. I think this is the 4th fight he's lost now in a row, maybe even more. Um, Listen, he's still a good fighter. He is still a good fighter. But it's like I said. It's like I said about the boxing. Power stays when you're old. The power's still there. We saw that in the fight. We did. He caught Thomas Almeida quite a few times, and it rocked him. So he's still got the power. But speed goes, timing goes, your accuracy goes. And he's just not the same fighter he was. Now, listen, if he's going to stay in the UFC and he wants to keep going, I've heard rumours that this was a kind of a win or be sacked. Whether that's true or not, it could be a lot of bollocks. But if he's going to carry on fighting in the UFC, he needs to drop down. He can't keep fighting these elite level opponents, especially at the number 10 ranks, when you've not won in your last 4 fights. You can't be fighting them. You need to get, if you really are thinking of staying and maybe even trying to get another title shot, you need to start building some wins back up about over lesser guys. You can't keep going for these ranked. If you're going for ranked, you need to drop a lot lower, 15th, 14th. He's 7th ranked at the moment, Deontay Wilder, Tyrone Woodley, and he needs to get some easier fights under his belt if he's going to carry on, because he's getting knocked out left, right, and centre. Now, the Darren Till fight, I was like, oh, we've got Tyrone Woodley back. Yes. It's just gone again. It's just not there for him. So, who knows what will happen with that. Going into the main event, just the scariest man on the planet. There is no one in this world I've been more intimidated by than Francis Ngannou. And I fully mean that. If Anthony Joshua walked through my door now and Francis Ngannou followed him, I'd be scared of Francis Ngannou. No, fuck Anthony Joshua. He's like a little kid compared to Francis Ngannou. This man is a human wrecking machine, and he's got the... Sorry, what is this? You can tell the barbers need to open up. What is that? Put it down there. Nope, it's back. Let's do this. That's better. Yeah, you can tell... what was I saying? I do this in so many videos, guys, and I can never be bothered to cut it out. Yeah, he's a human wrecking machine, and how much he'd improved from, the last fight with Stipe is absolutely unbelievable. When you look back at the first fight, he'd been a mixed martial artist for 3 years, I think, and he wasn't really a mixed martial artist. He was a boxer doing mixed martial arts. His takedown defense was not there in the first fight. We cannot dispute that his takedown defense wasn't there in this fight. Did brilliantly to stop Stipe's takedown. Took the back, hit Stipe with some absolute hammer fists. Was still catching him when he was getting up. I don't know how Stipe took all them, because he was getting battered. And then he drops Stipe with a jab. Stipe gets up, kind of circles round, and then Stipe Miocic makes the biggest mistake in a fight I've ever seen him make. We cannot doubt, I will not sit here for a second and doubt that Stipe Miocic is not the best heavyweight to ever grace the UFC, because he is. Now, is he boring? Yes. Yeah. Can he speak? I mean, yeah, but very badly. Is he good on the mic? No, so far from it. And the UFC would have been happy. I know it sounds harsh, but Ngannou's got personality. Stipe's boring. However, he is the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time, and the fact that he made this mistake, it honestly really shocked me. Now, what before I build into this, what Francis Ngannou was so good at and so improved at during this fight was, it reminds me of an American football game, and DC said this on commentary as well, and I'm an American football fan as well, and it was a brilliant analogy. You have a play, and then there's a little bit of a break. And that was Francis Ngannou. In the past, he'd have been a wrecking machine. He'd have non-stop just gone forward. but he was throwing his punches, he was catching him, and then when he did, instead of just jumping in and going for it, and maybe getting caught with something himself, he was taking his time, he was having a break, and it was brilliant. So yeah, he dropped him with a jab, went to finish the show. Stipe got up, circled round, and then Stipe caught Francis Ngannou. And Francis he kind of like backed off a bit, nothing major, but he looked a bit rocked. And then Stipe just went in. He caught him, and then it's like he just didn't think, and he goes to rush in, and before he even touches Ngannou, boom, left hook. He's down, his legs are underneath him, he's like that. Ngannou drops on top, hammer fist, and it is done. Ngannou is heavyweight champion of the world, and this man's story deserves that. He deserves this title without a shadow of a doubt. Seeing him hug Usman as well. Listen, Africa, you have done yourself proud. Israel Adesanya, Kamaru Usman, Francis Ngannou are all world champions, and I absolutely love it. And Ngannou was brilliant. Maybe there'll be a third. Maybe John Jones. Will it happen? Who knows? John Jones is the biggest UFC pussy there is. This man has backed off of big fights for so long. So fucking long. And I tell you what, he could have moved up to heavyweight years ago. Years ago. But he didn't. He stayed at lightweight. He definitely didn't fucking stay at lightweight. He stayed at light heavyweight. And he's getting a bit older now. In the last few fights, Dominic Reyes, which is debatable whether he even fucking won. The Anthony Smith fight as well. I think he's thinking, shit, these guys are a bit too quick for me. And now he's decided to go up. I don't think this fight will happen, because if John Jones has got any sense about him, he will not get in there with Francis Ngannou. He should. He should. Because it's about time he had a fucking fight against someone who's properly going to test him. But Francis Ngannou knocks John Jones out cold. And I don't have any reservations about that. I don't have, I'm not being like, oh, maybe not. Francis Ngannou will clean out John Jones. That's how I see it. Listen, John Jones is one of the greatest fighters of all time. But there's a time comes where the torch has got to be passed. Now, I want to see that fight. I'd love that fight. I'd love DC on. Daniel Cormier on commentary for that fight would be the saltiest motherfucker in the world. The amount of digs, it'd be amazing. Do I think it'll happen? No, but I really hope it does. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. Just a bit of a ramble about the weekend's fighting. There's obviously Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal 2 coming up, so that's gonna be phenomenal. Derek Chisora versus Joseph Parker is also coming up as well, which I'm gonna defend here for a second, just quickly. Again, on Twitter, the shithole of the place that is Twitter, where every man and the dog gets cancelled. I've got 27. I've got like barely any followers. I don't really retweet stuff. I literally just go and scroll on Twitter. I'm not asked about interacting or anything like that. And I think I've probably been cancelled. Every man and the dog gets cancelled. And when it comes to boxing, Eddie Hearn gets more stick than anyone, and I really like Eddie Hearn. So I think I should defend him. But you don't need me defending him. He runs a business that's in COVID times that are losing money. Of course it's a pay-per-view, because they'd lose a lot of money if it wasn't. So all the people whinging, don't watch it. If it's that big of an issue, don't watch it. If you are that big of a boxing fan and you wanted to watch that fight that much, just like I'll be buying it, buy it. If you're that big of a boxing fan, buy it. That's how I see it. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to press that like button, press that subscribe button. More content coming, I promise you of that, and I will see you later.